Hey, everybody. Well, if you came last week and the week before, you'll notice that I don't have a British accent. And I want to thank Colin for helping out while we were on our summer break. And just to ask you guys real quick, what did you think if you were here last week and the week before? Did you get anything out of the sessions with our customer, Colin, who uses TimeWarp for his personal trading? Just some quick feedback if you get a second here while I adjust this curtain and take the light coming from the surface of the sun out of my face. What'd you guys think of the sessions the last couple of weeks? Something you want to see more of in the future, every once in a while? If you want to send me a note maybe, or an email just to let me know how things went, we are going to go on our own. If you are here today and you are not a customer, can you let me know right now? If you're here today and you do not own the software, I want to make sure I spend some time going over the markets that are important to you. So again, take a second, just let me know, hey, I'm new. I promise a team of college students won't call your house and try to harass you into purchasing something. My name is Michael. I am the founder of Back to the Future Trading, the first guy who said, hey, you know what would be fun? About 15 years ago now. And we have thousands of customers all over the world, over a 4.5 rating on our Trustpilot rating system, rated by actual customers, actual traders like you. We have a unique proposition for you. We are the only company, so far as I know, that produces tools which are entirely predictive. They tell you days, hours, minutes in advance when to expect buying pressure and when to expect selling pressure. And if you ever wanted to wake up and do something really hard for over a decade, be called a fraud by thousands of people, sit hopelessly in front of the computer, having proven your case for year after year after year, years in a row, then you should open a company like ours. But the rewards are tremendous, because we're going to see here in a moment what happens when we publish the times and the directions that a market is likely to go in the future, days before the market opens. And then we'll come together and see what actually happened at the selling times and the buying times in the most popularly traded markets. S&P, oil, gold, Euro stocks, the Dow, NASDAQ, Euro, Ethereum, a nice sampling of the markets people trade. We'll also take a look at some of the other markets like Apple and Amazon and Tesla and Nvidia, and get a sense of how that all works. Yes, Rich, it is. There's a plugin called Aurora, and the Aurora plugin is compatible with Bloodhound and Raven. You can create your own little logic nodes using those two things together. So if you're interested in Aurora as a plugin that makes the TachEon warp indicator compatible with Bloodhound, that's something you could do, no problem. The reason this program works, there's been a lot of discussion on television and the news. Has my mother-in-law completely paranoid and upset? A lot of discussion about artificial intelligence lately. We're being told by Google that if you post anything, if you've got an email that's going out, your browsing history, all of it's being used to train this natural language model, ChatGPT, and all of its competitors and variants. Computers are learning to produce actionable information based on tens of hundreds of thousands of historical patterns. Something, if you and I were to look at it, we'd say there's nothing important here. It's gobbledygook. It's gibberish. There's nothing actionable in this data. And we've learned how these programs are revolutionizing the way we work and interact with each other. Well, our software, while not true artificial, there's a oxymoron. It doesn't work like artificial intelligence, but it's sort of doing the same thing. We're looking at historical patterns and the data of the markets you trade. And we're using a tool that tells us what that information means. What's inside the chaotic pattern? Is there anything that we can distill from the noise? And when you're looking at a chart and you see highs and lows and uptrends and downtrends, and you see congestion and breakouts, the software is noticing what times and what directions of those times are producing moves consistently. So in this instance, the software would have found, for example, all the times that oil had been pushed up and seen that it was consistently putting in pivots, small or large, at 5:30 Eastern. Then projecting that behavior pattern forward into the future and saying, hey, get ready. They're probably going to do it again. We extract patterns from seemingly chaotic and random data. Every market does this, by the way. And so you can imagine it's pretty hard to break through people's skeptical firewalls when I approach them and I tell them this is what's happening. The easier way to do this, if you're ever interested in running a very profitable trading tools company, is to create a lagging indicator, which is a variant of something that's been in the public space for years. Make it a fancy color, use lots of words like Fibonacci and order flow. Have a crack team of marketers and social media managers, a room full of salespeople, and a charismatic trading room personality who shows 1,000 trades over the course of a day and tells you about the ones that really worked on the monitor you can't see. Have a free trial, an introductory purchase of $49 or $95. That's the way to do it if you want to do it and make a lot of money. Your customers won't, but you will. For me to prove that this works the way that it does, I send out the forecasts that the instance of the indicator on my computer outputs on Tuesday. If you've been following along, you know that you get an email, and on Tuesday night, I say, hey, here are the forecasts for Wednesday and for Thursday for all of those markets that I just showed you. And then we come together and we look at what really happened. So, for example, if we come over and I don't know, let's look at gold, get that one out of the way. If we come over and we look at the Asian European session of gold, we can reference what the program warned us about. We can reference what the software told us to look for based on the recurring behavioral patterns. Now, I want you to remember, because you're going to try to talk yourself out of this. Remember, this chart on the right side of my screen has been in the public space since Tuesday at the latest. It's actually up on the website earlier, but you knew about it since Tuesday. This is the market today on Thursday. Now, what happened today? Does anyone know what report came out at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central? Pretty big one, right? How do we know it's a big one? Because they always make the big ones red. Non-farm employment change, unemployment claims, job openings. It was a pretty big deal. But remember, this forecast on the right was available since Tuesday. That's 2 days before the report. And if we blow up the times, we'll see that I haven't changed anything. 8:05 was an expected selling pressure time. That was just before the report, wasn't it, Rich? The report was at 8:15. 5:50, which is I think 9:50 London time or 10:50 London time. We've known about that time since Tuesday. 5:50, 8:05, 9:25. There's 9:25. And yet, Jerry, Rich, Ravel, Philip. Hey, Philip, thanks for coming. Hey, Mary. I see Mary in here. Good to see you as well. When we look at what happened at the times, it appears that somebody had a plan at 5:40, at 4:45. Boy, did they have a plan at 5:50. It appears they followed through on that behavior pattern at 8:05 as well. Somebody knew with that nice little double top pattern what was coming. And Rich, JP Morgan stopped buying. Deutsche Bank stopped buying. Credit Suisse traders stopped buying. And all the retail guys said, why? That was a big run up. Why isn't going any higher? And our customers said, because it's 8:05. And how long did that move last? Until 9:25. Remember, these times and directions were available since Tuesday, before a fairly Zoptic market report. 400,000 jobs. What's going on here? What's going on? Well, it goes even deeper than that. It goes even deeper than that. And I'm going to avoid my lunar stuff today. And I want you to see something that I posted on the E-mini S&P Facebook groups. And this was a chart you can see yesterday at 3:05 p.m. And Rich, I made a post, and this is what I wrote. We also have a sell signal on the predictive time chart for the E-mini S&P daily chart tomorrow. And so on the daily time frame, Rich, because people ask me all the time, they come up and say, Michael, does this work on multiple time frames? Does this work on stocks for options? Does this work on SPY or QQQQ? Does this work for Amazon, Nvidia, the meme stocks, AMC, right? Carnival? Yeah. And I want you to see what the daily chart was warning us about, what I warned over 8,000 people in each of those groups about. And I told them, tomorrow is the day for the drop. Thursday, July 5th. And here we are, the day after, and on a daily time frame, Rich, can we say that a pivot has been put in on the daily chart? We had a stop run. Watch the mechanics of evil. Are you ready to see the mechanics of evil and a fraud being perpetrated on the traders of this world? There it is. There's the prior swing high. You can see it. They came up and they punctured the high. Doji candle, look at that, big bottom wick. Rick's looks like we're going to go higher. And right here, yeah, Ravel, you have to email Rachel or Ron. The problem is most likely with your computer memory or your video card or your processor. You're going to have to email them your computer specs along with the question that you have. And can we all agree that the market fell today, a day later? This is just one example. And if you and I were to go through, I've been posting these dates in the future on those forums for months. So I published the one on May 25th. I published the one on June 8th. I published the one on June 28th and the one on June 22nd. I told over 50,000 people when the pushes up and down were going to occur. And how many of them do you think beat a pathway to my door? Not as many as you'd think, because people don't want to believe this is true. They don't like thinking about it. Let's talk about one of the more popular markets that people are focused on. On my screen now, we have the E-mini S&P 5-minute chart, and then we have the E-mini S&P 3-minute chart. And I want to tell you a little bit about how I personally use the times and how I interpret and look at these signals. In the webinar a few weeks ago, I went over the difference between a signal and a setup, right? A signal is basically the time telling us what direction to possibly expect to move. A setup is an actionable set of rules that we employ when the signal arrives. Well, what am I going to do with it? How am I going to filter it? How am I going to get in, get out? How am I going to trail it? When do I go to break even? And so on the E-mini S&P 3-minute chart, the times of which we gave out on Tuesday, right? These are the times that I've been waiting for. In fact, I published these times, the ones on the 5-minute chart, yesterday. And so I want to show you the 3-minute signals because we have a lot more to work with here. The way that I use these signals, and you don't have to use them this way, involves looking for signals in the direction of a trend. And in the instance of my chart for the webinars, I use a 120 period EMA. Now, can you use a 50 SMA? Can you use a VWAP? Can you use any one of a number of ways to identify trend? And the answer is yeah, of course you can. I'll show you a novel way to predictively anticipate trend. And those of you who came to the Edge event this summer, you'll recognize what I'm going to show as well. So on this chart, when we arrive at a selling pressure time in the direction of the trend, I'm waiting for the candle. In this case, it closed above the EMA at 727. I'm waiting for it to close below the moving average. We call this a crossover trade. Once it closes below the moving average, I can consider the 727 signal as having been now in the trend. They've officially crossed over underneath my trend line. I enter at the close of that candle. My stop goes 1 to 2 ticks above the candle, which closed below the moving average. Now, here's the neat part about time signals. When that candle closes, Jerry, I now have a window of time. A window of time which is based on historical patterns that banks execute. If you think of it like the Grand Canyon, or those of you that have ever gone to a creek or a stream, you'll find rocks where there are grooves worn away. If you've ever been to a college campus, you'll see dirt paths that have been worn away. And so when you look at a dirt path, Rich, this is where people have been consistently walking. Do you guys get that? Humans are creatures of habit. And instead of going down the sidewalk and turning down this way, people said over and over and over again, I'm going to walk that way. And when you see 727 appearing on my chart, it's not some black box signal. It's not some guru-inspired, mysterious thing. They love to use words like proprietary. That 727 signal is there because lately, in the E-mini S&P on a 3-minute chart, it drops a lot, often enough that there's an established behavior pattern. So when we sell at the close of that candle, I have an opposing time. Now, this over the years has been a tremendous benefit to some of our customers. They say to me, Michael, I used to not know when to get out of a trade. Or Michael, I would hold my losers too long and I would let my winners not go. Then you would take 5 ticks, 10 ticks, and the thing would go 120 ticks, and you would watch the train leave without you. And I know if you can hear my voice that you suffer from the same maladies because you're human, and the banks bank on that. So we knew at 727 there was a window that would last until 748. And so that's when I exit. 2 3/4 points. Now, first thing you'll start to notice is in a hard downtrend, Rich, do you see how they took a pause right here? They tried to push up. The market went into a consolidation range. That's normal. They were taking profit right on time. This is called a redistribution phase if you're a volume buff or scholar. And so now it's 748. I'm waiting for something called a puncture trade. A puncture trade is based upon the idea that in a downtrend, the profit taking only lasts for a little while. And so we had this big move down. And then Rich, people are taking profit at the bottom and new market entrants are arriving at the high. You don't ever have a straight downtrend. You did in 2008 and a little bit in 2020, but not usually. There's a pause. And so now in our downtrend, we have that redistribution phase. And so what I look for is a puncture of the stop level. Where are my stops? My stops are 1.5 values of the average true range away from the high, or rather this case, the low of the signal candle. So my stop is 1.5 average true range values away from the signal candle. ATR is referencing how big is a 3-minute bar lately. Well, it's this big. Put our stop this big plus 50% away. Cool. As a trend trader, I'm looking for a continuation of the trend. I want to see the redistribution phase finish. And so the second it punctures that stop line, it tells me that we've moved far enough away from this that the downtrend is continuing. And so per what I've taught you for years, we enter at the puncture of the white line. Our stop is 1 to 2 ticks above the puncture candle. And now we hold it until the next time signal. Ready? These are our setups. So we enter 1 tick below with a sell stop. We exit by the next train stop, the next airline arrival. 8:24, arrival of the sellers in Terminal C. And that move was $5.50. 8:24. What's interesting about the 8:24 signal is how long the window is open. We know that if the window between 8:24 and 9:36 is as large as it is, Rich, here's a piece of interesting trivia. The longer the window of time between the signals, the more likely the move has time to mature and go farther. Michael, how do you know which signal is going to be the largest move? Generally speaking, anecdotally, the larger the spacing between the signals, the more time the move has to mature and develop. And so we expect 8:24 to be a fairly large movement. Remember, we've known about 8:24 since when? I find it important for us to remember. That's right, since Tuesday. Since Tuesday. So 8:24, the stop is how big a bar is lately, plus 50% away from the candle. 1.5 ATR values. That's our stop. The close of the candle is our entry. We're going to hold it the full duration of the timing window and exit at the close of the 9:36 signal. That is a $17 move. $3, $5, $17. So we're up over $1,000 so far. Any questions yet as I sip my delicious ice diluted Coca-Cola? For those of you that have been wondering, I did experience and had some pretty serious bouts of brain fog, I believe as a result of a COVID infection earlier this year, and those have been subsiding. I feel like I'm coming back into myself. So usually during the webinars, I'll log up. No, Tom, it's not what I've got. I appreciate you, buddy, but I wasn't drinking Diet Cola when I'd get laid out at 2 o'clock every day. This was something completely different. So I'm feeling a lot better. I hope that comes across in the webinars too. I always feel bad when I don't give you my best. You see what happens at 9:36? The same thing that was happening at 7:48. We have another redistribution phase. So those of you that are customers, this is a great thing to look at. Yeah, Rich, I had both of them. And I got it twice. 2 shots, 2 infections. And I also have a hemifacial spasm. My left eye, cheek, eyebrow, all the way down to my chin will spontaneously start to shudder because of a nerve, a venial nerve obstruction. There's a little artery or vein that puts pressure on a nerve up there now. It's crazy, crazy world. So we get another one of these redistribution phases. And when you see a buying pressure signal that staggers like this for a while, there's a couple things you can do. Here's a little bit of advanced technique right here. Number one, Rich, you can sell it at the high of the zone. If you want to try a counter trend signal, you can try to scalp it from the bottom of the zone, especially when you see a dip like that. Me, I have to wait for what? The puncture. I have a sell limit sitting here, 1 to 2 ticks below the white line. I'm waiting for them to be done. Are you done? Are you done up here yet? Are you done? I'm moving about as far as the bar is now, plus 50% away from that zone. And I enter right here at 44.30. So on the chart, you're going to see me put a red arrow, and there's the entry right there. How long do I stay in the trade? Well, according to the behavior pattern, I have until 10:09 to get out. Now, remember, all of these times have been available since when? Since Tuesday. Was the news good or bad this morning for the economy? If you were an American, I've been following a Facebook group in my local rural county where I live. Many of the families have been here for 100 years or more. Roads are named after the people who live there. And there was a big debate about whether or not you should be allowed to launch cannon-sized fireworks off next to your elderly neighbors at midnight 30, 1 a.m. in the morning. And the overwhelming majority of the respondents who lived locally to me out in the hollers said, America, it's good for America. You blow up stuff. Your neighbors need to suck it up. If you were an American-loving, cannon firework setting off person, and that report came out, plus 400,000 jobs, do you think the market should have gone up or down? As a rational, publicly educated, possible college degree bearing individual, what direction should this moving average have been from 8:30 forward? Up. 90% of the world was buying. 90% of the world had calls today. I saw the posts in the options forums I'm a member of. Everyone was watching for calls. There's a quote that I have from a lady named Regina Gwynn. She has this awesome quote. I don't know if it's still here. I want to find it for you. There it is. Just so you know what you're contending with. Institutional traders trade on behalf of others, hedge funds, investment banks, brokerage firms, commercial banks, blah, blah, blah. When Goldman and other banks upgrade a rating on a stock, watch the sale of institutional shares after that. When Goldman and JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank downgrade a stock, watch who buys. Right? The large banks do not and never have had your best interests in heart. And so when there's bad news, markets go up. This is the institutional liquidity push. They create liquidity and get people on the opposite side of the trade. All of the signals on all of my charts today are using the same parameter settings. I'm looking at a 714.00 with a swing strength of 8. Your setting is probably a 5 here if you're a new customer. The default value that I show on Thursdays is an 8. So 8, 714.00 calendar days. Now, so far, we have a pretty healthy trend. Rich, here's another advanced technique if you're a current user. When we get to 10:09, can you guys see there's a cluster? There's a cluster of signals right here. The spacing between the signals has gotten smaller and smaller. So right here, early warning sign number 1. There's probably not going to be a lot of movement here. In fact, there's probably going to be chop. And in this instance, if we sell at 10:09 and buy by 10:12, we have our first loss. Thomas, when that happens, when you see your first loss in the trend, it tells me JP Morgan, Credit Suisse, Deutsche Bank, all those knuckleheads, they didn't finish lower. They finished higher. So there's no interest anymore. The second sign that we have that the trend might be ending is right here. Between 10:18 and 10:48, the next sell signal, it's an even smaller profit figure. We went from 17 to 5 to 3. Thomas, what is that telling us? Lisa, what is that telling us? Philip, if the selling pressure times are producing smaller and smaller moves at each time, the momentum is dying. Yes, they're not interested. They're pulling something out of their sleeve. They're pulling something out of their sleeve. They cheat. Hey, how come Goldman didn't really go down then? Hey, how come there was a loss just now? Oh, they're opening a deck of cards under the table and shoving aces up their sleeves. The very first sign that you had predictively of a downtrend was right here. The very first white stop line that was punctured is telling you this is a downtrend right here. Because there's no buyers. They went right through, they had a consolidation phase, but they went right through the stop line. Jerry, what might be a sign of the uptrend resuming? Thomas, what might be a sign of the uptrend resuming as we start moving across the screen? Buyer showing up, or one of these blue stop lines getting punctured, right? What happens if one of the blue stops gets hit? What might that tell you? The trend is reversing. Remember, it's based on what they usually do. And if they don't do what they usually do, they're going to do the opposite. So here's another thing to keep in mind. This stop line didn't get hit. This stop line didn't get hit. 1127 comes. We enter at the close of the candle. And Thomas, look at what happens. We hit the stop. We give $4.75 back. What might that be an indication of? The trend reversing. It might tell you that the banks have no interest in pushing any lower than they have. They're not doing the thing they usually do. It's like going to an Eagles concert and they walk off stage before they sing Hotel California. They get in the tour bus and leave. Wait a minute. You're supposed to sing Hotel California. What is going on? Oh, I get it. And so, Thomas, what might we be inclined to do right here? That's right. Look for longs. Could you treat this blue dot like a puncture now? Could you maybe be a buyer at any one of these lines when it goes through and touches? Or what else can we do? We can wait for the next buy signal. So follow me now. Advanced technique. We enter at the close of this candle. The trend is down. We break through another white line. The trend is still down. And then we trail it until it hits the blue line right here. So for those of you who yell at me because I take too many trades, could we use this predictive trend technique to stay in for longer movements? Sure. So a few interesting tidbits, but we can also now say, hey, I know the moving average is down, but we've punctured this blue line. Let's try to take the 1218 signal long. And look at what starts to happen at 1218. It goes up. Whoops. And how long could we hold it for if we did that? 1218 until 1245. So looking at the morning session, 8:18, that's 26, 31, 33, 28, 26. Let's call it $20. Just following the time-based signals, there's over $1,000 of moves. Absolutely. In fact, there's a whole indicator that will show this. I won't even have to draw lines. We will not be using the moving average. Any questions about the E-mini S&P? That's $1,000 worth of signals. I'm only looking at the time signals, Brian, yeah. No worries. Now, here's the cool part. It didn't just happen on the S&P. These are oil futures. So did this work on oil futures this week? What happened at the sell times? What happened at the buy times? For example, is it okay if I say the 439 signal worked? Is it okay if I say since Tuesday we knew about the 751 drop, the 936 drop, the 845 push up, the 1009 push up, the 1124 push up, 1039 didn't work, 1251 worked, 112 worked, 127 worked, 151 worked, and so on? Can we say that the time signals in oil futures worked at least 60% of the time today? Would that be okay? Considering we've had the signals, you've had the signals since Tuesday of this week. Remember, they've been published since Tuesday. These signal times, buying is white, selling is blue, were predictively available for this market since Tuesday. Huh. What about the pound dollar if you're a forex customer? Would it have been helpful to know when to expect buying and selling signals earlier? Yeah, sure looked like it was consistent. And as we go back in time, it's not just today, it was yesterday too. And it wasn't just yesterday. It keeps happening, especially in forex. And it doesn't have to be a 5-minute signal. It can be a 60-minute signal. And those same moves are predicted. We can see when the signals are coming on the right-hand side of the chart. We already talked about gold. This was the Dow. If you traded the Dow today and you took shorts in the direction of the trend and longs in the direction of the trend, how did you do? You were short from 8 o'clock until 9:36, 164 ticks, 500 plus 300, $800 move per full size contract, $80 per micro. You waited for a puncture of the white line right here. You held it until 1021 for another $150. White line was punctured, telling you the trend is still down. 1021 until when? 1054. 66 ticks. $390. Wait, $330 per contract. And then right here, 1145, we don't hit the stop, but we lose 30 ticks. When we lose 30 ticks, Thomas, that could be the first sign right here that the trend is over. They were supposed to sell like they always do, and it finished higher. Remember, we're tracking international financiers. Bill Smith out in Sheboygan doesn't move the markets. You and I, if we all traded together at the same time tomorrow, we might move it 1 tick. If there's a signal at 1145, it means the largest international financiers have pushed prices lower consistently lately at 11:45. And when they finish higher, oh, it could be the end of the trend, which could give you permission to do what? Now I'm going to go long from 1209 to 1233. Now I'm going to take the puncture of the 1233 signal and I'm going to exit at 112. I'm going to enter at 112 and exit by 133. I'm going to take the puncture of the 133 signal and I'm going to exit with a loss. I'm going to enter at 215 and I'm going to exit at 257. I'm going to enter at 342 and I'm going to exit when the market closes. All based off of what? A new way to interpret trend. BG, you need to write an email to this person and they'll get you sorted. I appreciate you coming even though you got here late. Does this all make sense to you guys, ladies? Scott, did this make sense the way I interpreted the signals here today? Is anybody lost? Hello, is it me you're looking for? Check out the NASDAQ signals today, by the way. Yeehaw. You could have made a couple dollars with the NASDAQ today, right? It's still happening. And here's the cool part. We see the signals coming up in the future. We are the only company that tells you in the future when the times are coming. The software will always print the signals on the right-hand side of the chart. So when I look at the E-mini S&P, on a daily chart, I can see the next signal is July 19th. The next signal is July 19th. Here's an advanced technique. Ready? How far do the blue signals go on average? Watch this. From the high to the low. From the high to the low. From the high to the low. High to the low. High to the low. We're just measuring how far the blue signals go when they drop. And now, Lilburn, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of those red triangles over here and see when JP sells, how far do they go usually? We call this an exertion analysis, right? And something funky starts to happen. You can see the levels. You can see the levels that the market has consistently moved at the predictive sell times. Where are we? Well, we already hit the minimum where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the signals have gone. And then we had 2 of the signals here. We already hit that level. We already hit this level. And then today, we hit that level. There's only 3 more left. And we're getting pretty close to the maximum outlier. This guy right here. You want to know my prediction? My guess is before July 19th, they come down and they break through this low. And there'll be a bar that sort of looks like this. and there'll be a wick that comes down and extends up. It'll look like a stop run. Here's my guess. I can't do the line for some reason. It's not picking up. I think they're going to come down, break through the stop just before July 19th, and then shoot back up, if I had to guess. But that's just me. But it's based completely on predictive times. If we look at some equities together, we can see that right now on NVIDIA, we have a buying signal from June 30th until August 10th. If you are using the signals with NVIDIA and wondering, when do I get in, when do I get out? I watch people struggle every day on these Facebook pages. Crosses over, now I'm long in NVIDIA until January 17th. Calls on January 23rd. Calls on January 24th until February 21st. It gaps above the blue line, calls until March 1st. Calls at March 1st until April 4th. No puncture of the blue line, I wait. Calls on April 26th until May 1st. Calls on April 12th, which one has a really long development time, until June 12th. It's a month of signals. Calls at the puncture of the blue line, and now here we are on June 30th. Not one of the white dots have been broken. This one wasn't broken, this one wasn't broken, not broken, not broken, not broken, still not broken. If you see that white line broken, if you see NVIDIA fall below 391 area, 392 area, that is a predictive trend reversal signal. Start looking for puts. All right, Tesla, same thing. The second, if you're a trader looking at opportunities, the second it broke this blue line, Lilburn, the banks are not interested in shorting Tesla anymore. Somebody somewhere knows something you don't know. Load up on calls. Well, how long do I hold my call? Until June 5th, and then you take another one and you get out on June 22nd. Never punctured the white line. Came dangerously close though, right here, 284.33. Not yet. Not yet. Amazon, same thing. Next call is on August 7th. And right now you can see everybody selling into the stop run high on June 22nd. Earlier technique we discussed. People are buying at the bottom and selling at the top. And when we have a re-accumulation phase in an uptrend, we're really just waiting for a puncture of it, a close above it. So right here, red dot, zigzag, 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 zigzag. We're waiting for the next push up. Watch for a close above that, and we'll see another push, or wait for a puncture of the blue line. This works on every market, Bitcoin, Ethereum, any equity you can pump into it, all of the futures markets, forex, anything you have historical data for, the software will expose the times that people are consistently pushing up and down. And you can know those times. You can know those times. So this is a notably different way of approaching trading. This is a notably different way of approaching the market. And it's based on our fundamental belief, me and everyone else here and a lot of our customers, that the game is rigged. The game is rigged. If everyone is cheating, you should be looking under the table all the time. How are they cheating? When are they cheating? You study the people who consistently make money and buy brand new banks at the worst possible financial time. Why does JP Morgan and Goldman come out on top every single recession? Hey, we're going to need a few $1 trillion here. We're bleeding. Boop, 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 boop. Next quarter. Goldman Sachs reported record earnings this year. Everyone in every office got a Tesla and a golden roll of toilet paper. How? They were doing horrible. We follow the people who are writing the rules. We trade when they trade. How do we know when they'll trade? We study the historical patterns in the data. We use their energy against them, right? And no matter how powerful your computer is, no matter how smart your guru seems to be, no matter how many free trials you take and discords you join up in, the reality that I've experienced after nearly 20 years of doing this is you'll never have an edge. It's very, very, very rare. It's still 5% out of 100 of people who make money consistently. But our customers pass funded account programs. Every week I get another email, passed my Apex account, have 20 accounts, use the 90% off coupon. I have 20 accounts. I make $200 a day in one. I make $4,000 across the accounts with my trade multiplier. I'm almost numb to it. How many of you here passed an Apex funded account using the program? Anybody? There's usually a handful of them in every webinar. Yeah, there you go. So, long and the short of it, I believe trading is about looking at what should happen next. I don't believe trading is about what's already happened. If you're looking at anything but time, you're looking at something that happened now or happened in the past. The moving average is down. The volume is higher, is lower over the last 10 bars. The order flow is this. There was a divergence then. It's in the past. It's already happened. And they've conned all of us, the vendors especially, conned all of us into thinking that information should tell us what's going to happen in the future. The only way to know what's going to happen in the future is to study time. That's it. Any questions? Any markets you wanted me to look at before we close up here? Ran a few minutes over. I'm so sorry about that. No brain fog. Woohoo! All right. Those of you that are here today and are customers, keep your email eyes open. I'm sending out a notice. I'm actually going to be showing these setups myself in my own trade room, July through August. I'd love for you to join me. So check that email out if you haven't already looked at that. The program that we're talking about is on our website. It's our flagship program called the TachEon Warp. We love to use Star Trek and Star Wars and Transformer sci-fi names for everything. The TachEon Warp is our flagship product. It's the one 98% of people start with. And I'm going to post a link to that product in the bottom of the page. It won't really belabor this point. If you click on the buy now button at the bottom, this is an indicator for NinjaTrader. That's cool, Ravel. Excellent. We're actually one of a handful of companies that are allowed to market. So you see this page, how we're right here. Ravel, the owner of Apex, guy named Daryl. Is it Daryl? Daryl Martin is a 10-year customer of ours. And so he told me the other day we could actually advertise on there, which was neat. He wanted his customers to know about our stuff. Anyway, we have a trade room. If you go to click on that orange button, it meets 8 to 12, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every week. If you've met Colin from the webinars in the prior week, yeah, Daryl's a pretty cool guy. Then you know Colin is running this room. He's a profitable trader. He uses the software, incorporates a little bit of Elliott wave analysis with his trades. That's how he learned and was brought up. If that's something you want to be a part of, you can do that. Add it to your cart. Otherwise, if you go to the cart without adding that, you'll see the purchase agreement here. And then there's a promo code that you can add. It's, I think it's the same as it was before the break. It's lowercase WARPOFF, all one word. WARPOFF, no spaces. And when you enter that code here, it's going to take $500 off of the price today. The marketing people say we're supposed to offer a discount, and so I follow what they said in the book to do. Thanks, Thomas. Yeah, we're going to bring Colin in once or twice a month. I think it's important to hear from customers who are using the software. So if you like the job he did last week and the week before, I'd like to keep him coming in and showing you what he's been seeing and working on. So yeah, that code is available. This is an indicator for NinjaTrader. You get 2 computer licenses. They are lifetime licenses, so no fees or charges. If you migrated, for example, to the new version of NinjaTrader, there were no fees or charges for that. If you ever need to change a computer in the future, there's no fee at this point to do that. And this actually comes with free installation. So if you want, you can schedule an appointment with one of our associates and they'll actually log on and connect all this up. NinjaTrader will actually port with TD Ameritrade. If you have that as a platform, it'll actually port with Interactive Brokers too. If you're using either of these platforms, you can use NinjaTrader, no problem, no other fees. If you have an Apex funded account, it'll work with NinjaTrader too as well. So that's another way to get data over to it to use our tool. So lots of really cool opportunities to plug in and see these times for yourself. Okay, warp off. If you get an email or a phone call from a guy named David, he is with the company. His job is to help get you from here to here. Here is the successful point, and he's going to help you onboard. Please respond to his emails, his phone calls, his skywriting with the airplane and the smoke. Super straight, decent, honest guy. We only work with people like that here. So if you've got a sense of comfort and you feel like you can trust me in some way, David has been helping all of these new customers get started, get set up, following up with people, and he's really interested. If you have questions, slowly taking the time to answer them. So please respect that. If you're not interested, just tell him you're not. Hey, I'm going to ski jump practice in Norway next week. I won't be back for 6 years. I'm studying penguins in Antarctica. Now's not a good time. Just let him know, and he'll leave you alone. So that's it. That is it. Tomorrow you will wake up and you will have no idea what they have in store for you. If you don't have the program, you will probably go long when you should have been short. You will be picking tops when the bottoms are forming. You will be picking bottoms when the tops are forming. You'll be doing everything backwards and wondering why you took too many trades and overtraded and scalped too often and let your stops run and cut your winners short. I would love the opportunity. I would love the opportunity to be a part of your team. There are 4 or 5 of us here, professional traders galore, customers that are working with other customers. There's a Skype forum with over 100 people right now interacting with each other, sharing their settings and successes with each other. Join up. We are the small Star Wars rebellion. We're Han and Luke and Leia and Chewie and C-3PO on the planet Hoth. It's cold. It's not a paradise island. Nobody really believes what I teach. A very, very, very small number of people after all the evidence week after week. But we're a close family. We're a tight group. And I would love an opportunity to come alongside you, teach you everything I know, and help spread the word about how the time signals are working. In finale, I wish you the very best. May the wind blow at your back. May the sun shine upon your handsome, beautiful, glorious faces. May the valleys rise up to meet you. And may the mountains of adversity lay low before you as you move forward into the rest of your life. One thing is not promised to us: time. I'm 52. Some of you are older, some of you are younger. I have an ever increasing sensitivity to the fact that there aren't an infinite number of leaves on this tree. I'd rather you not spend all day staring at your monitors. I'd rather you know when to trade and when to walk away. The most important thing this program will do is give you back time. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 60 minutes, a day here, an hour there. At the end of the week, you probably have 4, 5, 6, 8 hours of your life back. What would you do with an additional 20, 30 hours a month? How many emails could you write? How many new skills could you learn? How many books could you read? How many people could you say, I love you, I miss you too? I want to give you that gift. So please join up with us if you can. Take care, everybody. Customers, you know I love you. I'll see you next week. Those of you joining up with me in my trade room, I can't wait to hang out. We're going to have a lot of good times, record everything, of course. If you're wanting the recording of the video, check out our YouTube channel, Back to the Future Trading, or watch your inboxes tonight. We'll be sending out a notice. I'll also put a link on our Facebook page at Back to the Future Trading, where lots of goodies and yummy stuff are available for you. Ravel, I'll send you a link to that and make sure you get that so that you know what's involved. And anyone else that's interested in joining me, if you didn't get the email, check your spam or send me an email and I'll send you a link to get started. All right, we'll see you all here next week. For those of you moving forward without the software, please be careful. They are mercilessly cruel and will not take it easy on you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. Bye-bye.